The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon and welcome to Basic Reports in P+ and the questions they answer. We're going to wait a couple more minutes to give a couple people a little more time to get on, and then we'll start. Hi again, and good afternoon again. This is Ann Mordecai. Looks like most people are here. Most people who have registered are here. So Karen Mazzo and I today will be presenting this webinar on Basic Reports in P+ and the questions they answer. Karen, are you there?
Hello, I'm here.
Hi.
And I'm suggesting that if you can't hear us, that you type in and let us know.
I would suggest if you can hear us, because if you can't, you won't know we asked that. Right? Sorry.
Yes, exactly.
So
Thank you.
Over on your control panel, there is a place where you can type in questions. So please ask questions. Karen will be monitoring and she'll interrupt when she sees some questions. Also, if you notice, there are some handouts down in the control panel. Oh, I can hear you. I can hear you. Yay. Thank you.
Okay. Caitlin's not seeing the video, the visual portion.
Oh.
Is anybody else having trouble seeing the PowerPoint? Let me know.
Caitlin, you might have to switch to make sure that you're looking at the GoToMeeting on your screen instead of something else. You might have to get some help from where you are, from your site.
Okay, we're getting a lot of...
Okay, I can see you and hear you. Okay. Oh.
Okay, so then just a little advice from another participant. I couldn't see it, but once I clicked on the icon on the right, I could see it.
Oh, good.
So
okay. Perfect.
Maybe, Caitlin, if that helps you. Okay.
Okay, so underneath, or on my screen anyway, underneath on the control panel are the handouts. There are two handouts. And one handout is a PDF of this PowerPoint. And the other handout is a certificate for PD hours that you can print and use for certification. So remember, ask questions whenever you want, and I will start. So today, let me see, click. What we're going to do is review the reports you can use creating P+, and hopefully develop an understanding of which reports to use when, or when to use which reports. So I'm not going to go into how to create these reports. We can do that in another webinar if you want. Do we have one of those scheduled, Karen, for?
I'm not sure, but we can just add one or put one in.
Yeah, if that's what you would like, is some more detail about how to create these reports. So today I'm just going to go over the reports and or some of the reports and the information you can get out of them and how they can be useful. You have a question already?
Nope, everything's good. I was just going to say, at the end, we'll share our contact information with you, and definitely email Anne and/or I, and we will connect with you around your needs. And we also have a full day Performance Plus training coming up November 14th.
Right.
So there's another opportunity for you to get in-person training.
Great. So that was here's the agenda. We already did the introductions. First, I'm going to go over some general information about P+ reporting, then some individual student reports that are kind of handy this time of year, and performance tracker reports and assessment builder reports. You've probably seen those two and wondered what the difference is. I'll explain that, and then a very quick wrap up. So the overall reporting information is right here. You've got the icon menu, and to get to the reports, you click on the reports. You probably know this part already, but I just figured I'd go over it. The main reporting screen looks like this. This section, can you see my cursor? Karen, can you see my cursor?
I can.
Good. This report 1 may be below my reports, or maybe you may have it this way. Doesn't make any difference. These are reports that are already created for you and someone has sent them to you. A lot of these are from the state. They're SBAC reports and NECAP reports, SAT reports also. Up here is where you create reports. And when you click on reports, you have these two choices here. Some people will have some more choices, but for reports, these are the two main choices. So there are performance tracker reports and assessment builder reports. I have no idea why they named them that, because what it means is all the reports in this list, all of these, will report summaries, totals. It won't give you any information about questions. The assessment builders will give you detail about questions within an assessment or more, one or more assessments. So that's the difference. And it says right here, item level reports. So here you get item level reports, and here you get proficiency and standard reports. So that's how they're differentiating it. I've just enlarged these here, and I'll use these larger versions so we can actually read which reports I'm choosing when I get there. So first I'm going to show you some information about individual student reports. And this time of year, it's kind of handy to have that if everybody's got new classes and you can get some reports on your students. I'll show you the two. One actually, I wouldn't even really call a report. You go into students, type in the student's last name, first name, if you have it, any other information you want, and then show the students. You'll get a list. This for everybody I have is named John Smith. You'll get a list of all the students that match criteria. You choose the student you're looking for. What?
I'm just going to remind everybody that the reason everybody Anne has is John Smith, because it's a de-identified database that she's working off of.
Yeah.
That won't happen for you.
Right. You'll get your real students. This is just a fake database. So the first screen, when you looking at student, will give you information about this, the main information about the student. And then you'll be looking at any kind of assessment. As you scroll down, you look at all the assessments that this student has taken in New Hampshire that have ended up in P+. You can see the different levels. Here's math, reading, science, the STAR data. Whatever assessments that are in P+ for this student will show up here. Next, you can see the different classes and teachers that they've been in. I've whited out some of these things and what grades they had them. And some people actually put grades in there. I haven't seen that a lot, but you can do it. When you scroll down a little more, you end up in the student group section, so you can see what kind of groups these students have been in. Have they been in any kind of risk category? You can see the number of days attended -1. I can't remember. What does that mean? Karen, help.
Number of schools. So it just says that within that year, within the year, let's say if you go across 8/31/2015, so within that school year, 2014-15, that student attended one school.
Good. That makes sense. And
And,
then,
that's interesting information because if you see a student has attended more than one, two or three, or more than two
yep,
schools, there could be some loss of content knowledge.
and here you can see in 2013, the student was absent 5.5 days. 2015, they were absent 2 days. And it only has, but at the end, this information is updated at the end of the year. So if the student's absent 13 days at the beginning of the school year, you won't know that until everything is updated at the end of the year. So these are the groups that they're in. You scroll down a little bit further, you can see interventions, any notes that have been put in here, and you can see the districts. I blocked these out, the districts that this student was in, the districts and the schools. And again, if they're in more than one district, and certainly if they're in more than one school, in elementary school or in the middle of middle school, that can be a red flag and a warning. So that's the first report. That's really not a report. It's just looking at one student information. The next report I'm going to show you, we're going to just look on the performance trackers. It's called the Student Assessment Summary. Now this is kind of handy. If you're the data person in your school, or if you are a special ed person and you want to just get a look at all your students, or if you want to look at just your class, you can look at the Student Assessment Summary. What that report does is it will print whatever grade you choose, whatever you can pick, a class or a whole grade. It will print all of the assessments that that particular student has taken in the past 3 years. And you can see how they did on those assessments. So this is the student score, this black diamond. So this student is doing better than average all the way along, because this is the state average. And here's another one, John Doe. So those are the two student reports that I think are very useful, especially at this time of year, or throughout the year if you want to really just look at one student. Now, any questions about that?
I don't have any questions about that. I am responding. It's not relevant for the whole group, but okay. Michelle's having an issue with her access, so okay. That's why you hear me typing.
Okay.
We got it.
So next to performance tracker reports. So remember, these are the reports that do not show you item level. You cannot see question detail here, but you can see lots of different versions of totals and proficiency levels and standards and sections. So the first one we're going to look at is the pie chart. When I'm about to go look at an assessment, the first thing I do is look at the pie charts just to get an overall vision of what happened. What was the general feeling of the results? So it's a great place for visual of the percentages in each level for this assessment. You can see multiple assessments, multiple sections, multiple years at once, which is also nice. But this is the way the report looks. This was from 3rd grade. Last year, ELA from SBAC. In the blue, 21 students, 42% of the pie went to level 4, 32.7% went to level 3, etc. So you can see how it's a great visual to see how they did. You can say, oh, blue and green, that's where you want most of your kids, that's great. So that's just one assessment. I can print 2 at a time. It actually prints these in a line, but I couldn't fit it all on one page. So right here I've got the 3rd grade, the 4th grade, and the 5th grade. How did they do? Well, if I'm going to look at the blue and the green, they all did pretty well. And look at, almost half of these students, of these students, which is grade 4, were in the blue, which is great. So it's a great way to look at an overall picture of how the students scored on an assessment. I'm a data person. I'm a data person in for around the state, and people are very often asking me, I just want to see how they did on a group of standards, or how they did on a strand. And these are the standard reports right here, these 3. I'm not going to show them to you, I'm just going to tell you about them. For some reason, they don't end up giving great information. And I think it's because of the way that the frameworks are set up in P+. So the way things are set up in P+, so there has to be a place to put all this information. And if some question, like say you have one question that's standard A, but it's a yes or no question. And then you have another question that's also standard A, but it's an explain your answer question. Those are going to be put into the same categories, and it doesn't give you great results. So I'm actually going to skip those. I never use them. And I use these reports and other reports all the time, but I never use these particular ones. I use this assessment sections, which is more useful than the standards. Especially if you have a local assessment, one that you created, but it can also work with some of the others like state assessments. This is going to show you the different sections, how students did on different sections. So it will help you determine the strengths and the weaknesses among these sections. And the framework needs to be set up for it. That would be a whole nother discussion of how to do that. But these are much more useful than the standards reports. And this is what they look like. If my sections in my assessment are set up to match my strands or my domains, then I'm going to get them based on those domains. If my sections are set up addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, I get them based on that. And we can show you how to set up sections. If they're set up, all the questions related to physical science, all the questions related to earth science, all life science, etc. will go into these buckets. So that's a sections report. I don't use it that much, but once in a while I will look at it. The assessment scores report I use a lot. There are a whole bunch of different ways to look at it. You can look at one assessment, just the totals. You can look at one assessment and the sections of it, or you can look at assessments over years. You can look at one student, all their assessments, and I'm going to show you a whole bunch of different ways to see that. This first one is an assessment scores report with one assessment. I don't know what the assessment was, but the most the student could get was 71 points. The score will come back, the report will come back sorted by student name, which I've covered up here, but so they're sorted by student name, but you can sort them by any of these columns. If I want to sort them by score, I click on this down, we call it an arrow, but it's really a triangle. And I can get the score from high to low. So these are all the students at the top. And these are all the students who scored a level 3. This would be a level 3, level 2. And these are level 1s, all of these students. Sort it again, and I get it from low to high. So these are all the students who scored at the bottom of the range. And these are the middle and the high. It's great for sorting kids for intervention groups, but you probably will need a little more detail to do that because this is just an overall score. It doesn't give you much detail on what the student did well on and what they may need what they were struggling on. But we can get that. Looks a little bit more overwhelming, but it's still the same report. We've got the student names here. The total is way at the end. And I couldn't change that. That was kind of frustrating. I wanted to put it at the beginning. But then I've got the sections here. So this is, oops, I think I switched. Didn't want to switch yet. So this is the first student, 5 points, 10 points, 24 points. And in the blue is the highest, red is the lowest. So this student scored the best on fractions, which is weird, huh? Let's say I want to group my students by fractions. If I click on the fractions, I can sort by that section. So now I've got a little bit better idea of who should be in what groups. If I'm going to be working on fractions, I just click on the fractions. Here are my high students for fractions. Here are my next level, the next level, and below that are the lower students. You can even get more detail when we get to the question level, but right now we're just going to be looking at performance tracker assessments. Another way to use the assessment scores report is to look at different assessments. So here's second grade in 2015, third grade in 2016, fourth grade in 2017. So this student one, this is how he did in second grade on this particular assessment. Actually, this is everyday math. It looks like EM4, end of year. This is how that student did in third grade, and this is how the student did in fourth grade. So this is a good report for bringing up some concerns. I've sorted this. This is already sorted from high to low on the most recent assessment. So these students scored on the level 3. I know that green is level 3. Last year, this student was a level 1, so he went up 2 levels from a 1 to a 3. That's great. This student too. This one I would be a little concerned about. He was a level 1. I mean a level 4. He went down to a level 2 and then back up to a level 3. So that's good. This one's bouncing around from 1s and 2s. This student in second grade was at the top and now is at the bottom. So you can, if you look at 3 assessments over 3 years that are measuring the same skills, or math skills anyway, or reading skills, whatever the assessment is for, you can see how the students are doing. They're going up or down. How are we doing, Karen?
Doing good. I'm doing some problem solving,
Okay.
side problem solving for an attendee. But I have no questions.
Okay. I feel like I'm talking. So I'd love all the participants to think for a second. What were you hoping that you would get out of this? What kind of information did you want to learn? What kind of reports are you using that you have questions about? So I'm going to take a breath for 20 seconds and let you think about that. And if you have questions, please submit them. Okay, well, that was 10 seconds. But please write them in. This next report is called the level movement report. And if we go back a page, and I talked about, this student who was a level 4 went down to a level 3, went up to a level 2. That's called level movement. His levels moved. So now if I go to this level movement report, I'm going to see that in an aggregate. So I'll see it in groups. It's a crazy looking report, so be ready. Looks like a cartoon almost to me. So I can get a visual of how many students, which students, I've got 6 students who were here, went up to here, 15 were here, and some went down. So it's kind of a crazy report. I don't use it that much. I just like to get a look at it and get a feeling of, is everybody moving up, or is everybody kind of staying the same, or are they just all over the place? And in this example, they're kind of all over the place, which is an indication of either instruction isn't going very well and people are just all over the place, or the assessments aren't standardized, which that may be in this case. The scoring isn't standardized, so the scores come out kind of wacky. This shouldn't happen. It shouldn't look quite so wacky on a standardized assessment, but I just look at this and get an idea of what's happening overall. The any2 scatter plot I use just because I think it's interesting. It doesn't really help me with instruction, but I think it's an interesting report. It's any2. So any 2 assessments I can choose and put them into a scatter plot. So if you look at this, I've got the ELA for third grade for 2016 and the ELA for fourth grade for 2017. So it has to be 2 assessments that the same students have taken. So all of these students that are blue dots have taken both of these assessments. And if you look here, anybody in this column, right here, this first column, scored a level 1 in grade 3. This column here represents a level 2, a level 3, and all of this is a level 4. So this student here scored a level 1 in third grade. When you're looking at this way, all of this is level 1 for grade 4. This is level 2. level 3, and this is all level 4. So if you look at these, these 3 students scored a level 1 in 3rd grade and a level 1 in 4th grade. Level 2 in 3rd and level 3 in 3rd. And level 2 in 4th. Level 3 in 3rd and level 3 in 4th, and these scored 4s on both. These that are outside of this line did not score the same. They scored a level 4 in 3rd grade, but a level 3 in 4th grade. So I've got quite a few who are in there. This is the average right here. These students scored a level 2 in 3rd grade, but a level 4 in 4th grade, which is great. They moved up quite a bit. All of these students moved up also. So it doesn't really help me with instruction. It just gives me an idea of what's going on in general. Oh, this is just another example of 4th grade ELA and 4th grade math. Kind of this, generally goes up. Some students, they get 4s on both, 1s on both. Move on here. The comparative report achievement level, you can get a visual of each level, which is nice. And you can also, I like the visual, Karen likes the tables. So you can also get a table, get the results by table. You can compare grades and sections and schools and years and assessments, students. So you can compare quite a few things. And most of the SBAC reports pushed to you or sent to you from the state are comparative reports. And they look something like this. I like this top part where I can see that, the blue overall, about 42% of my students got level 1, about 70%, 70-something percent scored level 4, 3 or 4. Claims do not have a level 4. If you want information about claims and targets, you can please call us. If you want to be able to understand how to interpret the Smarter Balanced results, please call us. We do a webinar on that every now and then. But I can just visually see how my students scored. Here you can see percentages of how they scored and the number of students who took it. So that's a comparative report. These are the performance tracker reports that we talked about. The assessment sections, the pie charts, all of these. So if you print this PDF that's in the handout section, this will remind you of what we've gone over. I'm now going to switch over to the assessment builder reports. Some of them have quite a bit of detail, so they just get a little overwhelming. So I'm going to try and slow down a little bit. That's a good question. Am I going too fast over these reports? Do you want me to go back over any of them? Send some questions. How are we doing on questions, Karen?
We're good.
Good.
No more questions.
Either I'm totally confusing everybody or I'm so clear there's just no question at all.
You're so clear, Anne.
Yeah, that must be it. Okay, so assessment builder reports. Now remember, this is the second section, and these are item level reports. So these are, you can get some information about the questions and how students answered them. There really are only 2 reports that I use in here, although there are many more in here, but these 2 are the ones I use, the item analysis by question and the item analysis by student. So the item analysis by question, it can help you determine which questions gave the students the most trouble and which they were most successful on. And it's really, it's a visual, and I like the visual part. There's also a chart part, but it's a visual. You can really see on multiple choice questions how students did. And I know we don't use a lot of multiple choice questions, but it's very interesting to look at the results of them because I'll show you some of them. This is question 6 from an assessment. I think it's actually a science kneecap question, probably. It will give you the question. You can actually click on it and see the whole question if you want to. This is how many people answered A, B, C, which is the correct answer because it's green and it's also checked on the chart. D, and this is how many people left it blank. So this looks pretty good. The kids understood this question. Most of them got the right answer. These may have been guesses, who knows, but most of them got the right answer. Another one. Yep.
Are you going to show us what happens when it's not a multiple choice question?
Yes.
Oh, goody.
So then this is another multiple choice where a lot of students picked A. The answer was B. So as a teacher, I would want to go back and look at that. Was A, like a trick, in quotes I say? I hate to say that they put trick questions in, but did I not teach this concept well enough so that A looked like the right answer, or was it so close that that's why they picked it? But there obviously was some confusion. So I need to go back and think about my instruction when I'm looking at this kind of response. And same with this. Most of the kids got it right. Well, a higher number of students got this right, but this looks like they just guessed. So I would say this question, I'd go back and look at my instruction again, because they obviously were confused. Quite a few children were confused. This is an item analysis question, an item analysis by question report too. This is non-multiple choice, just like you asked, Karen. And what you can see here is one student got all the possible points, and this question had 4 points. Here's the question. I can click on it to see it. So one student got all of the points. 11 students got 3 points. 7 got 2 points. And quite a few students got 0 or 1 point, which we know is not uncommon on these open-ended questions, but it is something we've been working on for a long time, and we really need to look at the results and try and analyze what's going on with our students. What haven't we been instructing well that they're not getting? And looking at questions like this can help us figure that out. If you're online with the item analysis, you can also go into the content library part of P+ and get more questions that are related to this standard. And here's the standard. Now, this is the other one, the item analysis by student. And again, it can help you determine which questions students had the most success with and which questions they struggled with the most. And it's great for grouping students, determining goals for an intervention cycle. You can see, I just taught something on comparing fractions, and wow, none of my kids got any of the questions on comparing fractions, so I need to go back and do that. So that's how I use this report. And it starts to look a little messy because there's a lot of stuff in here. So this is an item analysis by student. Whatever the assessment name was would be up here. I don't know what the assessment was. Student names. The overall score is right here. Question 1, and how each student answered question 1. These were all worth 1 point, so they either got it right or they got it wrong. If they were worth more points, they could have 3 points here, and if they got 2 points, it might be green. It would be very color-coded and even more confusing. But so you can see how every student answered each question.
I have a good question here.
Yes?
From our participants. Is the item analysis only for SBAC? And no. And, well, a couple of things to respond to that. Is that okay? And I'm just going to go ahead.
Yeah,
so SBAC doesn't actually report items because it's a responsive assessment. So it doesn't report items because not all kids got the same items, and we don't actually know what items kids got. The most granular reporting is at the target level for SBAC, and that doesn't tell us specific items. Now, you can create in PerformancePLUS any assessment that has as many items as you would like. So if you're creating a math assessment, then you could, create assessment and you create it, the way that you create the assessment allows you to have items and then analyze those items in these reports.
Right.
And
So,
we can talk with you about how to make that happen.
yep. And if we have time, we can even talk a little bit about the targets and claims if that's what people want to talk about. But right, the Smarter Balance, you cannot get this report. You can only get this. You can get this in all the in the kneecap science reports still. The old kneecaps you could have, and any assessment that you have entered in. I don't know of any other state or national assessment that gives us items. Do you?
Kneecap used to,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Science kneecap does, right?
Yes, it did. I don't know if it still will this year. It's different.
But past year it did.
Right. You can get last year's science. Actually, I think that's what this is.
SAT does not, right?
SAT does not, but the SAT does not give it to Performance Plus, but SAT, you can get the SAT questions on the SAT site, but you won't get an item analysis like this.
Yeah.
But you can create it in Excel.
So, okay, I think we just answered Fran's question about PSAT and SAT. So, again, if you go on the College Board site, you can get the items from PSAT and SAT, but they don't give us those items in Performance Plus.
Right.
But you can certainly create midterms, finals, etc., and put in Performance Plus and put that data in, and then do item analysis.
Right. And it sounds like a lot to do, and it is initially, but it really isn't after. Once it's in there, it's all set up. And every year you can look, if you're giving the same tests, you can look at the questions. And it really can be very helpful. And my next report will show you how even more helpful it can be. So this is the next one. Oh, this one I sorted. So I can sort it. When any of these reports come back, they come back sorted by student names, last name first. You can sort by any of these columns. So I just clicked on overall score. So now I've got the highest score, and then they go down from there. Now this is the same thing. It's an item analysis by student, but it's sorted by student name, and then it's also sorted by correct answer frequency. So instead of having question 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 across the top, I've got this question. It's question number 38. 100% of my students answered that correctly. Question number 58, 93% or 94% of my students answered that correctly. 90%. So this puts the questions in order from the ones that they did really well on, all the way down to, and I click to the ones that they did really poorly on. So this can be really helpful for putting kids into groups and for analyzing what's going well and what's not going well. And I will give you an example. One year I was working with a 5th grade class, and we were looking at a report like this. And when we looked at first we looked at what they were doing well. And it was 3 things: comparing fractions, multiplication, and starting division. So we go, yay, we did really well on that. Then we went over to the low end, and we looked, and it was the same things: comparing fractions, multiplication, and beginning division. I was like, what? And everybody's complaining, oh, this is awful data, and this is stupid, and we had to go through all that. And then finally we stopped, and we looked and looked and looked, and finally figured out what the difference was between these questions. They were all open response, but the difference was the questions that the students did well on had pictures with them. The questions that they did not do well did not have pictures. So instead of these teachers going back and teaching their children how to compare fractions, how to multiply, and how to divide, they had to teach their kids to draw pictures to solve problems. So it was really very useful in identifying what the actual issue was. And it was, it was an instructional issue. It wasn't a student issue. It was the way we were instructing. We forgot that whole piece of showing them how to draw pictures. So this is my favorite report, actually. And that is all I have for showing you reports. So I'm hoping that you have some questions or something specific that you want to see that I can take you to. So you
could just go ahead and And type in your questions.
Yep, and I can log on to P Plus and show you some things something specific. Because if you have a question, other people will have questions. I can guarantee it. I can also show you how to create some of these assessments if you want. Not just
If anyone's interested in that, just type in and let us know.
And if there really are no more questions, then I will do the wrap up. Just very much.
Okay. So far, seems like everyone's satiated. Oh, hold on a sec. I think someone's thinking.
If you have a question and you...
There are some, this is just a comment. I don't know if anyone else is having this problem, but the districts are rolling over their data from 2016 to 2017, and it's not all done at once. So it started yesterday, and I just see here that somebody can't look at their students because this district hasn't done that.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. But if you look, I'm in the report section now.
Mm-hmm.
If I choose, I'm going to have to go to a live site. Hold on.
And what are you doing, Ann? I have another.
Because I had that trouble the other day. So with the rollover, the dates in the rollover made a problem.
Okay.
So if I go to create somebody wrote they couldn't see their students or they couldn't create a report.
My district hasn't done the rollover, so I can't see my students.
That they haven't done the rollover. So if you go into filters, it now comes up 17, 18, whereas last week it was still 16, 17. If you want to search for a report, you have to actually change that date and show assessments. You may also have to go into your schools and change the date and choose your school that way. It may be the school is the issue. Does that help? Please ask a follow-up question if it doesn't. There's a sequence. What?
No, I was just saying that Fran should let us know if that was informative for her.
Okay. Not sure. Can you try it? If you want to try it, Fran, that'd be great if you can right now, and you can respond after.
And while you do that, I have a comment from Caitlin, just that as a new user of Performance Plus, what are the most useful reports or functions?
Okay.
Yeah. Do you want to speak to that?
Yeah. If you're a new Performance Plus user, I'd have to know your role and what you would want to be looking at. If you want to send us what your role is and if you're special ed, you would want to look at student information probably. If you're a classroom teacher, or you would probably want to look at if you're 3 through 8, you might want to look at Smarter Balance results. If you're younger than 3 through 8, you could look at other assessment results. Principals and administrators, you could go to reports and look at pie charts.
So Caitlin is a curriculum director.
Oh, curriculum. Okay, that'd be for math and ELA, I'm going to assume. I think for you it would be very useful to look at the Smarter Balance results, because you could find out what students are doing well on and where they need some work. And chances are, what I'm finding is over the 3 years, if you look at third grade in your school, third grade will be struggling with the same skills every year. And, at some point we have to look at the instruction for that. If it's the same target of skills, which we can explain targets at another time, but if it's the same group of skills that students are missing, it probably has something to do with instruction. And sometimes if your school's using a program, a purchased program, that program may just gloss over that piece. Or if teachers are writing their own, that may not be their strength, so they're skipping over that piece. But I would definitely start with last year's Smarter Balanced results and see how kids are doing and address curriculum based on that. That help? And I think you said you were new to P Plus too, so you might want to call us on how to get some of that information.
Yep, or email. Our emails are at the end,
Yep.
And Anne will put them back up again. Let's see. You're welcome, Caitlin. And okay.
Anything else?
Well, no, there's some people are having issues. I'm just looking at the
If you're a seasoned user and you're having issues that you like new issues in the past couple days, it's definitely related to the rollover.
messages.
But if you're not seasoned, it could be other things. But
so, for instance, Fran is not getting her full access. But I think we're just going to take that offline and continue that conversation. But that definitely. And can you think of a reason why a person who has district access would only see the homepage, reports, messages, and admin?
the homepage.
Yeah. Reports.
Are you a district that has more than one district? Or are you an SAU that has more than one district? Because then you might have to go into admin. And then what, data groups?
No, I think it would be.
If you're a user that has more than one district and you have
Yes.
What?
Yes. More than one district within an SAU is what I'm getting.
You probably have to go to the admin page and change and look at one district. You can only look at one district at a time. So you'd have to go into the admin and choose the district.
Let us know if that helps.
Yep.
There's nothing there. Okay.
Fran, how about, can you?
Well, Fran, this is why. Is SAU 29 Keene? Why do I feel like SAU 29 is Keene? Anne, do you know?
I don't know.
Yes. Okay. So Keene didn't sign up for Performance Plus.
Oh, that's why.
So Performance Plus, what you have, I think, in front of you is the 2009-10 version. This is for Fran. If you look in the date under the words Performance Plus in the top bar, I'll bet you it says like 2009, 2010. And you do not have access because Keene didn't sign up for P Plus this year.
Yeah, this could be an issue for other people that this year is the first year that the DOE has not been paying for access. So districts have to pay themselves if they want to have access. And in quite a few in some districts, the superintendents or somebody decided, oh no, we don't use that. We're not going to get it. When in fact they do use it a lot. It's just the people who had the money didn't know that. So if you use P Plus regularly or you want to begin to use P Plus regularly, you should speak to your administrators about that.
Yeah.
And then you could get back to us and we can help you get access.
Huh.
What? Any other questions? I still see there are a lot of people still connected. So if you have other questions.
Just, I think, and I spoke directly to Keene, and I think I spoke to Dan Black, but I think he's gone. I can't remember who came and who went. but I would definitely talk to your superintendent, okay, and figure out what's, we would be thrilled for SAU 29 to have Performance Plus. We were very disappointed when they didn't sign up. So why don't you send us an email and talk to your administrative colleagues, and we can discuss. And if you want us to come and do a presentation or have a meeting, we're happy to come to Keene and sit with you and talk about some of the reasons that why we think it's a good idea.
And then Merrimack Valley, do they have
Yep, I'm just looking, going back. Let me, give me 1 second and I'll look on our site. All right.
I'm gonna put our contact information up, and so the people who want to sign off can sign off, and people who have questions can stay on.
And do we dare unmute people?
In a minute, maybe. The reason we put everybody on mute is because people start talking all at once. It can get very confusing.
Plus, sometimes there's funky noises, feedback and stuff.
Right.
So I'm just looking up the list of Performance Plus users.
So if you have no more questions or don't want to listen to the answers of other questions, please note our email addresses and our phone numbers and call us. If you do have more questions, send them or just wait a minute and we will unmute people and then we can talk. I think there's a way you can click and raise your hand on the control panel too. And thank you for attending.
Thank you. And we really do encourage you to get in touch with us. And we're happy to come to your school, and we are happy to do personalized trainings and so on and so forth. We do offer free, limited phone and virtual support. And again, we have our workshop on November 14th. So think about that, and we will be sending out registration soon.
Also, there is a contest. You can see this if you go to the Demonstrated Success website, or if you go to our Facebook page, and your teacher, or you can tell your teachers that you could win $150 for the Best Dressed Classroom photo contest. So we're just asking people to submit photos of their classrooms all dressed up, and people will vote on it, and the winner gets $150.
Okay, and I am just looking up right now the, what am I looking at? Merrimack Valley, right?
Right, Merrimack Valley.
And give me 1 second. So let's see, Merrimack Valley has I am not sure that Merrimack Valley has signed up.
How about Andover? Is Andover, the Andover question, is that Andover, New Hampshire? Or we're talking Andover, New Hampshire, right? Not Andover, Mass, I assume.
I certainly hope so.
I'm from New London, whoever's the Andover person.
Oh, Andover is the same as Merrimack Valley.
No, Andover is over near New London.
And Andover is a district.
And
it's in the Merrimack Valley School District, according to SAU.
So they don't either then. Huh.
I don't think that they have purchased.
Okay. So we still have 9 people logged on. I'm going to unmute people.
Yes. So I think Ann and Michelle, both of you need to speak to your I4C folks and possibly your superintendent or assistant superintendent or curriculum coordinator. to find out about your access, the big picture access.
Yeah, this is Fran. I just sent an email to our I4C coordinator to find out what's going on.
Okay. That's frustrating. I'm
Yep.
sorry.
Well, I'm a special ed teacher, and I use the information all the time.
Huh. Yeah, they may not know that.
And it would be great because I talked to folks, particularly I did talk to Dan before he left, and he seems like a terrific person, and I just think that I'm not sure that they saw the merit or the need. So if you could.
Oh yeah, there's lots of things they don't see the need for.
Yeah, a lot of schools, they just don't know that people are using them. So.
Right, and I don't know, at the high school level, I might be the only one who knows how to use it or knows how to get into it.
Yeah, that's
right.
Possible.
That's possible. It happens.
At the elementary and middle, I don't know if they use it.
I've gone and done plenty of trainings in SAU 29 at some of the different schools, but just isolated trainings, so I'm not sure where they stand.
Right. Well, thank you for showing
welcome.
Information.
Okay. And yeah, definitely let folks know that if they want us to kind of talk to them about it.
Sorry, I'm going to have to mute people. Getting weird noises, so you're going to have.
That was the feedback we were talking about.
You're going to have to raise your hands, click on the raise hand, or send a question.
And don't forget to download you get an hour professional development. There's the certificate under handouts. And then there's a PDF version of the PowerPoint. Okay. Sounds like we are ending.
So Michelle is all set? I guess you are.
Yep.
Everybody all set?
All right. Let us know if you're not.
Okay, we'll stay on for a couple more minutes and then we will sign off. Thank you for joining us.